right, welcome into Before Floor, an extension of 5 on the Floor here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. I'm not Jonathan Romlicon. I'm Ethan J. Skolnick. You can follow me at Ethan J. Skolnick and at 5 Reasons Sports. We got Mateo Mayorga. You can follow him at Mateo Mayorga 23. We got Manny Chang producing. Don't follow him. He's going to get angry if you get too close. All right, let's get to our sponsors here tonight. Prize Picks, use code 5, FIVE. We actually just did a Prize Picks show, me and David Friedman. And we kind of like Bam tonight, over 32.5 points, rebounds, and assists. So we're going to discuss that here. Also, I took Killian Hayes, I believe, over 12.5 points. 11.5 points. The key thing here is use the code 5. It's right there, FIVE. You get your initial deposit matched up to $100. It's one of the best deals in the business. That's why so many people sign up using our code. So use the code 5. Also, University of Miami plays after the Heat tonight. So if you want to pair anything like Kali Wong, etc., I think he's up 14.5 points tonight. I kind of like it. Against Indiana, you can play that or any of the other college basketball games. But let's get to this one. The Heat are playing the Pistons, and all I can say is the end is near, thankfully. The Heat are crawling to the finish line, lose in Chicago. We're not competitive in the first half at all, especially offensively. Just not enough effort from not enough guys, and just a bleep show, basically. And Mateo, I would say, well, this is the easy one. You'll get it. You'll be fine. You're back on course. You're not that far behind Brooklyn. You got games with the Nets and the Knicks coming up. But they've lost to the Pistons already. So they could lose to them again. I mean, they're losing to teams that are playing for the – I mean, Chicago's a play-in team, but a lot of these teams they're losing to are lottery teams. Who needs to give a better effort tonight for the Heat? Give me one person.
You know, I want to see more from Tyler Hero. Five field goals from the field yesterday is not enough. 11 attempts either. The Chicago Bulls are not a very good defensive unit, and the Heat's offense was struggling outside of Jimmy Butler, Adebayo, and Max Strus in the second half. You know, what's devastating about that last loss, Ethan, is that they were 1.5 games behind the Brooklyn Nets for the 6th seed, and right now they have to hope that the Nets lose in the game they're currently playing at home against the Denver Nuggets to stay in the same spot. It's unfortunate that the Heat had such a bleep show, like you say, shooting the ball yesterday, because in the 8 games prior to that, they had been converting 40% of their deep looks, and it just turned back into what you've seen for most of the season. And I'm not sure I could even have so much confidence going into this road game for the Detroit Pistons over there.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think we jinxed it. We did that episode on will the shooting surge stick? Too much alliteration and not enough truth, as it turned out, because it didn't stick. They didn't stick their shots. And with this team, so much of this comes down to that. And my concerns are, well, manyfold at this point. I mean, the first thing is they got to get the 6th seed, because you're not going anywhere from a play-in situation. First, you got to get out of the play-in. Then you got to play Milwaukee or Boston. Your season ends there. So that's the first part of this. But the second part of this is, they're asking Jimmy to carry so much right now. Like he was supposed to have something left if they get to the playoffs. I don't know what he's going to have left. He can't take a game off now. They are managing his minutes. You mentioned Tyler needs to pick it up. I mean, Kyle missed the last game. Do we have a status report on Kyle? I'm not even sure at this stage.
He's probably on the injury report for today.
Well, I will say that might actually help, and I can't believe I'm saying that after what we were talking about 2 months ago, but they need someone to organize some offense. But also, I'm going to come back to Bam. I mean, look, he wasn't bad in the last game, but like Wiseman doesn't defend very much. That's one of the reasons he's not. He can score, he can rebound, and he has some promise, and he's getting an opportunity in Detroit. But that's why Golden State gave up on him. He's not in the right position defensively quite a bit. Bam needs to eat tonight. Like I just feel like against these kind of teams, like be aggressive, go to him early. Do you put the responsibility more on getting him the ball on him, on Spo, or on his teammates?
Well, I put it more on his teammates, and that could also be Jimmy, because big men are kind of like wide receivers in football. They're very dependent on the playmakers, the quarterback, to give them the ball. But like you said, the guys you brought up from the Detroit backline, James Wiseman, some of the other guys are Marvin Bagley and this rookie, Jalen Duren. He's actually a lot like Bam. He's 6'10" with a 7'5" wingspan, and he's been playing very well under the radar. In the last 15 games, I think he's averaging just below a double-double at 11 points and 9 rebounds. And he's someone who can come out on the perimeter and bother quicker guards. But tonight, it's very important that Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler eat against this back line, because for all their promise, they are very young and they're not very good defenders. moving laterally in space. So this should be an opportunity for them, or should be a golden one for them to get to the line at least for, in Bam's case, 8 times, Jimmy Butler at least 10 times, because they need to slow down the game and really make it ugly for them, for the opponent, because that's the way Miami really wins games. But getting back to Bam, yeah, he needs to have his teammates get him the ball more, because he was on such a surge between like December and January, and after he's come back from the All-Star break, I don't want to be too harsh on him. He's kind of looked like the player he was last year. It was still very good, but it's not what he was at the midpoint of this year when you need it the most right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's clearly taken a half step back since the All-Star break. There's been a couple of games, there's been a quarter here or there where he's looked like himself, or like you said, the player he was for that 2 months, but not mostly. Here's my other concern tonight, and as we'll make our picks here and we'll close. This will be a quick one tonight. My other concern is that against these bad teams, they do this thing where they sleepwalk for a while and then try to rush back in the last 6 minutes. We saw it against Orlando, saw it against Chicago, we saw it against Detroit at home, we saw it against San Antonio at home. This is a consistent thing against these teams. It's like, I don't know why they think they're better than anyone at this point. They are the definition of mediocre. Their net rating suggests it. They're right in the middle, or worse, actually. In most categories, they're in the bottom in most offensive categories, and yet they act like they're like the old greatest show on turf Rams. Like, whatever deficit it is, we can make it up. They don't have Torrey Holt and Oz Hakeem and Isaac Bruce and Marshall Faulk and Kurt Warner. Okay, they just got Jimmy, and that's my concern tonight, is that they let this team get confidence, and then what happens with a lot of these teams that are playing for the lottery is, at a certain point, there's nothing the coach or management could do to keep them from winning. Like, at a certain point, the young guys are playing well, and you're just like, okay, this is a game we're just going to let them go. And I've had coaches tell me that when teams are kind of, they don't want to call it tanking, but positioning. It's like, well, there's certain games we kind of let them go, and then there are other games where like, all right, let's let the young guys try to win this game. You don't want to put them in a position where they try to win this game.
You know, the thing about the Heat playing down to the level of competition, I know it's a serious problem to have, but it's not exclusive to just the Miami Heat. I know when the Detroit Pistons came into town here in Denver back in November, they actually beat the Denver Nuggets, one of the 6 home losses the Nuggets have here. And, you know, I also remember the Boston Celtics, I want to say within the last 2 weeks, losing against the Houston Rockets, possibly, you know, like the worst team in the league. So this is not a problem that's just exclusive to the Heat, but it has been very serious for them, because the ones you mentioned, like San Antonio, you know, the one last night, one against Orlando last week, this is not, you know, a very good sign, you know, very late in the season. And, you know, I'm not sure, Ethan, that they can really dig themselves out of this play-in scenario, because they haven't shown anything greater than maybe a 4 to 5 game win streak. And it seems like at every point where they start making ground and you want to take them seriously, they show you with a bad loss why it shouldn't be the case. So getting into let's get into a little bit of this matchup with Detroit right now.
Yeah, all right, so let's talk about it and let's make a pick here, but I'm with you on it that that's been the problem. You can't expect them to win 7 of 8 or something like that. No. It's just not. It's not the kind of team this is. In the same way, whenever things are going bad, they'll pull out a win you don't expect, and they'll kind of level back off to the middle. But that's what they are. They're a team in the middle, and that's what teams in the middle do. So I'll let you close. First thing I'm going to say, I do think that before you close with the matchup here, I do think they win tonight. I think they win tonight because they lost last night, and also because this is their season. I mean, if they lose tonight, you talk about not being able to get out of the play-in. They lose tonight with some of the other remaining games they have. It doesn't matter if they beat Brooklyn and New York going forward. They're not catching them. Like, they cannot drop another game on this trip, and I think they recognize that. So I do think you'll get the effort tonight. I think they're going to do just enough over the last few games to tease us and then screw it up at the end and end up in the 7th spot. But I do think they win tonight. I think they take advantage of the youth and experience. You close here with the matchup.
You know, Detroit is a 15-win team. I'm going to pick the Miami Heat to win. They are going to be without their best long range snipers, Bojan Bogdanovic and Alec Burks. They both convert over 41%. In their absence, this will allow the Heat to sag off in man-to-man coverage on certain matchups, specifically against James Wiseman to clog the lane and double after the catch. But defending against pick and roll, I think the Heat are going to go to the drop a lot, Ethan, because the personnel of the guards, Jaden Ivey and I'm forgetting someone else. Killian Hayes, excuse me.
Hayes.
They're not very good outside shooters. The right scheme to defend them is taking away the rim attacks. But I'm going to go with a Miami Heat victory tonight. And to tell you the truth, I really got another close game. It'll probably be their 38th or 39th, decided by 5 points or fewer.
It better not be. That's all I got to say. All right, use the code PrizePicks. Also, I didn't mention this before, but we're always sponsored here by our friend Mark Brown. If you need any kind of assistance with an estate plan or also a closing, he's the guy to go to. It's markbrownpa.com. Again, markbrownpa.com. There he is. He's the man with a plan. Website looks real good there. And again, he can help you with all your papers and everything else. Don't just say, I'll deal with this tomorrow. Make sure that your hard-earned money goes where it is supposed to go. Reach out to Mark. Also, check us out on Playback tonight. Go to playback.tv and just look for us, 5 on the floor, and you will find us. And we're going to be on there. Mateo and I will be on there tonight, as will Alex Toledo. Greg Sylvander may make an appearance as well. We're going to do the first half, see where things go beyond that. But we're going to be on there for the first half tonight. Have a good night, everybody.
Have a good night.